If y'all are seeing me for the first time, my name is Tracy. I'm the creator and I run our YouTube channel, but I also am the author of our blogs. And if you want like a readable tutorial version of a lot of our videos of what we're all about here at 4D Farms, we're all about faith, family, home, and farm. You can catch us on our blogs at 4dfarms.blogspot.com and 4dfarms.wordpress.com. Hey y'all, welcome to this video in my Bread Making for Beginners series. And I'm going to warn you, I have notes. Y'all see my pen? You might want to get a pen and a piece of paper because this is going to be a lot of information, kind of like a class, because I want you to know everything before we get into this section of my Bread Making for Beginners series, because this is going to be leading us into the, we started out at beginner level, then we went through the intermediate. Now we're fixing to go into the advanced stage. And I don't mean that we're going to be changing a lot of things. We're just going to be changing one thing. And in this advanced portion, we're going to be using freshly milled flour. Now, if you don't know what that means, freshly milled flour is you are taking a whole grain and you are grinding it down into a flour, okay? A coarse flour, a finely powdered flour, okay? And there are all kinds of different grains. We are going to cover a lot in this video. And the reason why I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper is because a lot of reasons. This series is for the serious ones that I know is really wanting to bump up the nutritional value and bump up their game in their bread making because they're serious about nutrition, health benefits of whole grains. Now, I'm going to start out by saying some things. We've been lied to. We've been lied to. Over the years, we have been told whole grains are not good for you. They're bad for you. You can't eat them. Yada, yada, yada. Stop. Just stop. Because I'm going to bust some myths here. First of all, I want to say this. Grains are biblical. You've heard me say it 1,000 times probably. And if you haven't already, you're going to hear it now. Bread is biblical. Let me give you a little bit of homework that you can do after you watch this. Go look in your Bible and see how many times bread is mentioned. Look in your Bible and see how many times grains are mentioned and wheat is mentioned. I have been going back through and starting with Genesis, just rereading through the Bible, but not just reading, but studying. And when I got to the Israelites with Moses, especially when they were in the desert and they were building the tabernacle, did y'all know that bread and grains were so important to God that they were and are part of sacrifices? There's a grain offering, and every time in one of the offerings, like the sacrifice offering, the burnt offering, the sin offering, all these offerings, y'all. There was too many for me to just name off the tip of my tongue, okay? But God made a specific commandment, okay? How to make the bread, what to use to make the bread, just like he made specific directions, making the Passover meal. In some of the sacrifices, God would say, mix flour and with olive oil. And then he would pertain to things like, and he'd say things like leavened bread or unleavened bread. And like I said, it was so important to him that he put it as part of the commandments as to what they were to put in their sacrifices. Not only were they to have meat, but some kind of bread. And it was important to the priests. So y'all, bread is biblical. And look and see, go back and look and see. Bread, grains, and wheat. How many times they are used in the Bible. Old Testament, New Testament. Number 2, y'all got to remember, wheat was a staple part of their harvests. Wheat was a staple. That's another one you could look at. Or did I mention that one already? Grains, bread. Oh yeah, I said wheat. Okay. If I didn't, I'm saying it now. Wheat was one of the number one crops that they grew. And they harvested the wheat. They threshed the wheat. And they ground the wheat. Now, they didn't have all these fancy grain mills and stuff like we have today, okay? But they ground their grain, okay? So, whenever it talks about grinding your own grain, milling your own flour, that's what it's talking about. You're taking a grain. Now, there can be wheat, and there's sections of wheat, and I'll get into that in a minute. I'm going to be doing this information like in outline form so you can kind of take notes. There's different kinds of grains, and I will tell you some of the different kinds of grains. Let me find my chart here. You have wheat berries, wheat grains. You have einkorn, kamut, spelt, durum, sorghum, millet, rye, oats. Let's see. Okay. And then their grains are kind of, now let's see, your ancient grains like einkorn, kamut, and spelt, they're like your ancient grains. Now, people who are gluten intolerant can handle these grains. They're higher in protein. Einkorn is 18.2% protein. Kamut is 14.7. Spelt, 14.5. Now, when you get into your wheat, you're looking at anywhere, let's see, hard white wheat is 11%. Soft white wheat is 10. Hard red winter wheat is 13.6. Hard red spring is 15.4. Wheat berries also comes at, they're harvested at 2 different times of the year. That's the reason why they're called winter and spring. See? And the seasons don't really make a difference to me. It's just the 2 different times of year that they can harvest grains. But there is a difference between hard white wheat and soft white wheat. I'll get into that. And then you've got your red. The only difference between the red and the white dealing with wheat is just the red just gives a more robust color. So just think red, robust color, okay? Now, more biblical. Let's see. What about the story of Joseph when he was the overseer under Pharaoh? And Pharaoh put him in charge of all of the harvests because Joseph had that dream, remember? 7 years of harvests, all of such, but then the 7 years of famine. And Joseph told Pharaoh, we've got to do something because a famine is coming. What does Joseph do? And God tells Joseph what to do. Store up the grains because of the 7-year famine that's coming. God knew what he was doing, and he told Joseph what to do. And you know what? Because Joseph stored up all the grains and how important of a staple they were, it saved thousands of people in the surrounding areas when the famine came for that 7 years. Not just the Israelites, but people from surrounding countries were coming to Egypt because they found out that Joseph was smart enough to store up those grains. And it saved thousands of lives. Wheat was one of their number one staples. Oil is another staple in the Holy Lands. What is another one? Wheat, oil, olives. No, well, that's where their oil comes from. But wheat and olive oil is two of their staples. Okay, they use olive oil for multiple things. Okay, not just to cook with. They anoint with it. They did a lot of things like that with it. They used it for oil in their lamps. That's how they kept their lamps burning. So, bread, grains, wheat is all biblical. It is a life-saving grain. And over the years, we have been, because I'm going to tell you the nutritional value, okay? Not just the percent of the protein, but I'm going to tell you the nutritional value. And then we're going to get into what happens when you get the flour that's on the shelves at the grocery store and what happens to it and where it all goes and what you're left with, okay? We'll get into that. But grains are biblical, and basically, too, we've been lied to. You can't eat grains. They're not good for you. If they were not good for us, why did God put so much emphasis on them? Hence, biblical. Why are they so important to God? Is it mentioned all through the Bible? I'll tell you why. Number one, you can't medicate healthy people. I said that out loud. Number two, it's the way that the bread is processed these days is the reason why some people can't eat it, and some people have intolerances to it, and another reason why it lasts so long on the shelf. Okay? Have you noticed over the years that the more doctors keep saying, and CDC, all these regulated people, Food and Drug Administration, whatever, telling us that things are not important, is because, like I said, you can't medicate healthy people, okay? They try to tell us that they don't like natural remedies. They don't want us using those plants and those herbs and those flowers that God made for any kind of medicine. So see, y'all can pay attention to all that on my natural remedies and apothecaries list. I go into a bunch of that in a lot of my videos, but we're going to stick to bread in this one. Let me tell you the nutritional value of grains. I got to get my notes out here, y'all, because I had to write all this stuff down. Nutritional value of your grains. Where is it? I gotta find my, I've got it in separate places, but, let's see. It's on a chart. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got notes on the front, notes on the back, okay? That's where to buy your grains. We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, the nutrition... Oh, here it is. It's on this one. I'm sorry. It was right up under my nose the whole time. Listen to this. You can get about 48 vitamins and minerals in one wheat berry. Did you know that? 48 vitamins and minerals. You have, like, just in a wheat berry, 4 grams of fiber. It's only 170 calories. No sodium, 1.5 fat, 32 carbs, 9 grams of protein, 0 sugar. But y'all remember me telling y'all, diabetics, how you get your net carbs? You subtract your protein and your fiber from the carbs, and you get your net carbs, which means it's going to go down. Okay? So, if I added 9 and 4, that is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're going to subtract 13 from 32, and then that will give you your total carbs. But 0 sugar? Y'all, come on. Let me tell you how many more vitamins and minerals. Let's see, because we're going to break down the anatomy of a wheat berry. You've got the shaft, the bran, the endosperm, and the germ. The bran is extremely nutrient dense, which means it's very nutritious. Bran is the hardest part of the grain, but it holds all of your fiber, both of your fibers, soluble and insoluble, all of your B vitamins. And how many of those is there? 12 B vitamins. That includes riboflavin, niacin, and thiamine. Iron, digestive enzymes, which means gut healthy bacteria, enzymes, microbial nutrients, trace minerals. That's just in the bran. In the germ, you have your essential fatty acids, vitamin E, all of your B vitamins, antioxidant minerals, phytonutrients. Y'all look some of these words up. I may not have time to explain all these. Endosperm has your carbs, protein, small amounts of B vitamins, and minerals. But this is what happens to the wheat berry. You know, when commercial mills came along and they started grinding the grain, people wanted to find quicker ways to put bread on the shelf. So they started inventing commercial mills for manufacturers. They started running the wheat berries through there. Well, guess what happens? They started separating the grain. They wanted the part that was left that would last the longest on the shelf. They started taking the bran and the germ, separating it from the endosperm. If you'll remember, I just told you the endosperm has some nutritional value, but it's what's left of the wheat berry. The carbs, proteins, small amounts of B vitamins, and a few minerals. This is what your flours at the grocery store is. You're getting the leftovers. It has just a little bit of nutritional value, but not as much as the whole grain. Okay? So when you go to the store, and they did that for shelf life purposes, you know who got the bran and the germ? The animals. Why did the animals get more nutrition than us? Think about it. Why did they get more of the nutrition? The bran and the germ holds all the nutrients. But as soon as you open that wheat berry, it does start losing some of its freshness and losing some of its nutritional value. Okay, it starts depleting. That's the reason why a lot of people will get grains and they will meal them when they need them. But we'll get into that in a minute. We get what's left of the wheat berry in the grocery store through all-purpose flour. We're getting the leftovers. We're only getting about 25% of the nutritional value. The other 75%, they took out and gave it to the animals. Now, take into consideration, for shelf life purposes, they also put it through a bleaching process, hence bleached all-purpose flour, but you can get unbleached where they don't go through that process. It's the healthier store-bought all-purpose flour, and I have switched to it. That's one less thing I have to worry about. The bleaching process is a chemical process. On top of that, they're adding additives and preservatives. What are a lot of these additives and preservatives made out of? Some kind of chemical form. Okay? So you're getting all that put in that bag of flour and set on the shelf that can probably sit there for months. Now, I'm not condemning anybody for using all-purpose flour, because when I'm in a pinch, like if that's all I've got on hand, or if we're on a work trip, yes, I have to depend on the grocery store. And if I want to make something, I'm going to have to get either the unbleached all-purpose flour or the whole wheat flour. So yes, in a pinch, I still use it, but I try to use it wisely and as best as I can. Making homemade bread is a step above buying the bread that's on the shelves because of all the extra stuff that's in it. In your bread that's on the shelves also, they've added additives, preservatives in that bread loaf. Okay? So you're getting a little more chemicals. But at least if you're grabbing some unbleached all-purpose flour and you're taking that home and you're mixing it with some other wonderful ingredients like milk or water or butter or oil, and then your salt, and then and you're making a homemade loaf of bread, at least you've stepped above and making something still a little more nutritious, and you're not putting in all them additives and preservatives like they put in that loaf of bread. Okay, you're making it a little more nutritional. Okay, but we're still only getting 25% of the nutrition from the wheat berry, because the rest has been milled out and given to something else. So I just broke down the anatomy and told you all the nutritional value in it. So this is why, if you're wanting to know and get into this section of the bread making series, this is the healthier option. Pay attention to this. I'm just going to rewind just here for a minute. Pay attention to what happens to the store-bought bread. Okay? Some people will use bread for science and chemistry experiments. Let me tell y'all a little science project I had. I was cleaning out my pantry one day, and I found like a loaf of bread that only had like 3 pieces left in it. And y'all, I'm like, I bought this loaf of bread about 2 months ago. This should be growing hairs out of it by now. It should have so much mold on it. Not one spot of mold. That tells you how good and preserved that loaf of bread was. How do they preserve it? By putting all those additives and preservatives in it. Can you imagine that sitting in your stomach for months and your body not breaking it down? Okay, I'll move on to my next point. Store-bought flour does not have a really bad expiration date. It can sit there for months. Wheat berries properly stored can last up to 30 years. You grind them as you need them, but there's an exclusion, and there's also something else you can do, and I'll get to that in a minute. Reasons for grinding. Why are you in this section of the series? What's important to you? Are you interested in the nutritional value? Are you interested in like you want to get into just grinding your own grain? Why grind? Okay. There's a lot of people that's getting concerned about what's in their food. Hence the nutritional value of grinding your own grains. Health concerns, sensitivities and preservatives, additives. People are wanting a variety in their bread, different kinds of grains, different protein content, and different kind of flavor. Maybe you're interested in grinding your own grain because you're like, you know what, I'm just tired of the old white bread. Let's try something different. Let's try a rye bread. Let's try a deeper wheat bread like the red wheat. Let's try the einkorn. You're wanting a different flavor profile, okay? So there's a lot of reasons for grinding your own grain. Nutritional value, health concerns, beefing your bread up a little bit. Nutrition started changing in the 90s. That's when all this additives and preservatives came along, okay? But people have been grinding wheat berries for centuries. I'm pretty sure all the way back to Adam and Eve. Noah had to take grains on the ark. How do you think, where do you think a lot of their food come from? They did take a lot of vegetables and fruits with them too. But when all that stuff started running out, y'all, I'm telling you, they had to eat. Boy got to eat. And he had to feed his family. Okay? So we've talked about the biblical, about it's in the sacrifices. I mean, God created the wheat. He created the plants, the grains. He created everything. Joseph stored up the grain. It's even in the New Testament. Passover meal Jesus had with his disciples. Now, whether it was leavened or unleavened, that's not the point. Leavened or unleavened, that's not the point. The point is bread is still in the Bible everywhere, okay? And it is still part of the Jewish customs today, all right? So, let's see where to now. Let's start talking about a lot more of the health benefits. Oh, more health benefits. You get a lot of biotics. You get the prebiotics, the probiotics, the post-probiotics, which means it breaks a healthier gut. Whole wheat, grains carries a whole lot more probiotics than, because the whole grain is together. You've got the bran, you've got the germ, you've got the endosperm, you've got it all. And one of those carries the enzymes. That's all your microbial nutrients, probiotics. Whole grains helps with diabetes management. Hence, the reason why I wanted to learn how to get into freshly milled flour and grinding my own grains, because of my dear hubby. He is pre-diabetic. We're keeping it in the pre-diabetic stage right now. It hasn't risen. It hasn't gotten worse. If we can keep him on this level here, we're doing pretty good, okay? And I started switching because for him, fiber has a powerful effect on glycemic control, blood lipids, body weight, and inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis. All critical factors in managing type 2 diabetes, because it's increasing the daily fiber intake by 15 to 35 grams. All right. Let me see. There's some more health benefits. Like I said, it supports a healthy heart. Studies have shown that higher fiber intakes correlate with reduced mortality from cardiovascular disease, cancer prevention. Y'all, fiber can ward off a lot, because you think what fiber does. Breaks down all this stuff and out it comes. You're getting rid of it. All right. You can adjust your protein content by switching grains, okay? I haven't gotten into einkorn. I haven't gotten into kamut, spelt. I'm mostly dealing right now with wheat berries and oats. Now, I will take some oats every once in a while and grind them up into a flour and use it in cooking and baking. Oh, I can sneak some stuff into some waffles and pancakes and muffins and stuff. Y'all don't put it past me. I'm going to get some nutrition in my family. All right. So, that's a lot of reasons for grinding the biblical, grinding the grain, the anatomy of the berry. Okay, see, we're covering a lot. But y'all, mostly the nutritional value, okay? And why it's important to keep all that wheat berry together. 75% of it is in the germ and the bran that they're taking out. We get what's left, which is only like 25%. But if you get the all-purpose flour and you make it from scratch and you make it homemade, at least you're a step above what is sitting on the shelf that's full of all them extra additives and preservatives, okay? So a lot of people are getting into this for a reason. And I know if you're sticking here with me this long, you are very interested. And that makes me happy. Because like I said, it's biblical and it's a whole lot healthier for you. Now, here's some other things that you can do with wheat berries. Never thought about this. You can actually eat wheat berries as a cereal. You can take a quarter cup and boil it in some water and eat it like oatmeal, because it softens it. That's where you can get you some oatmeal from. A lot of people are like, they're saying these days, well, I just feel so bad after I eat some oatmeal. You're eating the wrong kind. You're eating that little packaged oatmeal that's got all that extra stuff in it, y'all, for sitting on the shelf for a while, transportation on the ships, and you're eating the wrong kind. You can also make cream of wheat, by taking some freshly milled wheat berries, but not doing it on the fine setting on your grain mill, but a coarse setting where it's a little bit thicker, and you can make your own cream of wheat. Do it the same way. You boil it in some water. You can flavor this, flavor your oatmeal and your cream of wheat with, honey, syrup. You could throw fruit in it. Some spices like cinnamon and pumpkin pie spice. I might try some. I don't really like the texture of oatmeal. I had a very bad experience when I was like in the first grade in school. I'm not even gonna talk about it, because I'm gonna get nauseous just thinking about it and getting a visual in my head. So I better stop right there. I had a bad experience in the first grade, and just looking at oatmeal reminds me of that. No, thank you. I don't like the texture on my tongue. It's just something about oatmeal, y'all. It's just me, okay? Maybe I can try this. Maybe it might taste a little better. Maybe the texture will be better. Because you think oatmeal is like those little shaved off flakes, okay? Maybe I can try this. Maybe it might be better. Maybe I'm not I'm not drowning it in something to get rid of some of the texture. But anyway, okay, let's see. Let's see, it will be a little harder. It'll be a little harder, but it packs a nutritional punch. It's less than a gram of fat, only 150 calories. Yeah, you got, let's see, 31 grams of protein, 5.5 grams of fiber, contains 40 of the 44 nutrients that you need to survive. But I also read in another place that the whole wheat berry can contain up to 48 vitamins and minerals, okay? Let's see. So the doctors keep telling it. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm reading my notes again just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Why do the doctors keep telling us that you can't eat all that? Because look at all the nutrients that's in it. They don't want us eating all the good stuff because they can't medicate us. Oh, okay. I'm going to say, okay. Let's see. Grains, bread, wheat, herbs, spices have been mentioned so many. Oh, yeah, look up spices. So many times in the Bible, y'all. I mean, turmeric is in the Bible. What else is in the Bible? Curry. Y'all, all of the spices and things are in the Bible too. So they're healthy for us. Okay. More biblical notes. I think I've already covered up this. God provided, the one thing they needed to sustain their bodies. Yeah. And he told Joseph what to do. Let's see. So we've got the power of one grain. What all is in it? I'm just reviewing my notes, y'all, because I don't want to miss anything. Now, I'm going to need this note again in a minute when we get into how you're going to incorporate this flour into some recipes because it acts differently than all-purpose flour. Now, when you're using these in recipes, let's see if I need to get to that yet. When you're using these in recipes, it's going to act different than all-purpose flour. You can add a healthy fat like butter. That adds like more nutrients. Did you know that you can live off just bread and water? Bread, butter, and water, you can live off that because they're so high in nutritional value. I just read that and I almost forgot to tell y'all that. Let's see. I'm gonna repeat something. Commercial milling started in 1910. Flour is shelf stable because they removed the bran and germ. There goes half of the nutrition that we were getting. Cows got the other half in the 1900s. The bran and germ were sold as cattle feed because it created profit and it beefed them up. More protein. They wanted to get the muscle structure on the beef cattle. So see, vitamin B deficiencies and anemia were on the rise. People started getting sick in the 1900s when they started taking the bran and the germ out. They noticed more people were getting sick. I didn't know that. Let's see. Enriched flour was mandated in 1948. They learned when they started milling the flour in the mills, it started going bad. Once you break the bran, it starts going rancid very quickly. And we'll get to how to take care of your grains in just a little bit. The endosperm is where a lot of the carbs are. I mentioned that. If you know anything about diabetes, you can balance out carbs by mixing protein and fiber. Okay, add those together, you get the net carbs. The protein and the fiber is found in the germ and the bran. Okay, so this is why it's so much healthier for diabetics. If you're using store-bought flour, you're getting mostly carbs, a few grains, few grams of protein, not all. If you're using the whole grain milled into flour, you're getting the carbs, protein, and fiber, all the vitamins and minerals. Already went over that. This is why diabetics can eat bread, pastas, anything made with freshly milled flour. You can make gravy with freshly milled flour. You know how you make your roux with butter or oil, and then you put your flour in there? That's your roux. And then you put your liquid in there, like your broth or your milk, or if you're gonna make tomato gravy. But you can substitute and make a freshly milled flour gravy. Yes, you can, because I've been working with freshly milled flour, y'all, and incorporating some of this. And dear hubby can eat a lot more things. He can eat that bread. And so, yes, y'all will see in the continuation of this series. Y'all will see. Let's see. Freshly milled flour starts losing its nutrients after it's ground up. This process is called oxidation. Like cutting an apple open, and then how it starts browning, it starts oxidizing. We'll get to how to take care of the grains in a minute. There's different types of grain. They're used for different things. Each has their own nutritional value. Each has different tastes. Some of these are going to need a more powerful grain mill or a grinder like corn. You know how you can even take corn, I forgot to mention corn, and grind it down to make your cornmeal. Your cornmeal to turn into cornbread and stuff like that, y'all. Each grain has its own nutrients, its own nutritional value, its own fiber, its own protein, and they're used for different things. We're fixing to get into that. All right, let's see. What's my next notes? The easiest two wheats to start with, and the easiest grain to start with is wheat berries. And then I'm going to tell you the two that I've started using: hard white wheat and soft white wheat. Now, I'm going to break the wheats down, and I don't want this to confuse you. It's all wheat. But you've got hard white, hard red. Okay? Then you have soft white, soft red. Okay? You got your color difference because of the red if you want a more robust tasting. Okay, but then when it says winter or spring, that's just the two different times of year that they're harvested. Okay, there was another one. Winter and spring refer to the growing seasons. Okay, so I haven't experimented with red yet. Right now, I'm only using hard white wheat and a soft white wheat. I haven't dabbled into any of the others except for oats. Hard white wheat is used for mostly breads. Just breads. Okay? Hard white wheat. Soft white wheat, Oh my gosh, y'all. Cookies, cakes, biscuits, pastries, cereals. It just has a little less protein, which means it forms less gluten, which is why it's used for things other than bread baking. Gluten is what makes your bread light and fluffy, okay? And a lot of people are like, well, I can't have gluten. Try, that's where your ancient grains comes in at. Einkorn, kamut, spelt. People who are gluten intolerant can try those grains for making bread, okay? So, hard white wheat sticks mostly to breads. You know, your sandwich loaves, your artisan loaves, baguettes, French loaves, bread sticks, rolls, hamburger buns, hot dog buns, hoagie buns. Okay, you get the picture. Soft white wheat's for everything else. Everything else. Y'all are gonna see all the things coming up that I'm gonna make. And oh, y'all, we have loved the taste testing. We've loved the tweaking and learning how. I've had to learn how the flour works. We'll get to that. But diabetics, this is easier on diabetics. People who are gluten intolerant, okay? A lot of people are saying, well, you can't eat that because you're gluten. And they think they got to go gluten-free. Well, there's some gluten-free grains in here. But gluten is also what puts the elasticity and stretch in your doughs, and it makes it light and fluffy, and it makes it rise better. So you do have to have some kind of gluten, or you're going to have flat bread, okay? The two colors, red and white. Hard red is a bolder flavor. If you don't like bold flavor, then just use the hard white. Or you can mix them 50-50. I haven't tried rye yet. I really want to try rye. If you like cream of wheat, you can make your own by grinding soft white wheat. If you're making, if you want to use it for oatmeal, use the soft white wheat too, the berry. And then you can grind down the soft white wheat and use it for cream of wheat. The two different seasons, don't let these confuse you, or base your decision on which one you're going to get. It just means that it's the time of the year that they're planted and harvested, okay? In the United States, wheat is not genetically modified yet, but corn is. It can be bred and cross-pollinated to be pest resistant and weed resistant. Okay? There is hope for gluten sensitivity people. You can choose some of the ancient grains, spelt, kamut, and einkorn. Spelt is sweet and nutty. That might be interesting. Kamut is rich and buttery. Oh, that's good for biscuits. That would be good for biscuits. You'll need to mix the kamut with hard wheat to make yeast breads. Kamut is a lot of times used in tortillas, cookies, pancakes, muffins, cream of wheat. So you can also use kamut and those other things. It kind of acts like soft white wheat flour. But if you're going to make a bread with it, you'll need to mix it with some of the hard white. Okay, so kamut kind of acts like soft white wheat. It just has a different flavor. Einkorn, deeper, nutty, toasty flavor. Ooh. Use it in... I think it's brioche breads. I can't read my own writing, y'all. Breads, or mix it with something for yeast breads. Einkorn is not, I don't use it by itself to make, if you want like a puffy, airy loaf. You can use einkorn just by itself to make a loaf of bread. But just know it's not going to turn out like your other breads, and we're fixing to get into that, how the different grains work and how the flour works and how to get around some things. But just know every one of these are going to act differently, and especially the einkorn. But if you're gluten sensitive, then you can learn how to make bread with the einkorn. Just know that it's not going to turn out to be it's not going to get that rise. It's not going to be airy and puffy. It's going to be more level loaf. Okay, so don't just we're getting to that. Your ancient grains do cost more. They are a little more on the pricey side, but you know, if it'll help keep you out of the doctor's office, you can play around with flours and experiment. You can play around. I have mixed all-purpose with some hard white wheat or soft white wheat. I have mixed oat in with all-purpose flour. I have gone triple. I have done freshly milled flour, wheat, oat, and all-purpose flour. I can mix and match anything I want to, but I have to remember how each flour works, how each grain works. Freshly milled flour does not behave like all-purpose store-bought flour. You're going to get a more dense loaf. The texture, the taste, the crumb is going to be different. As it's going to be different, more different than all-purpose flour. Let's say, it may take some time to get used to. If you have picky eaters, start adding a little freshly milled flour in at a time until gradually you're working your way up to all freshly milled flour. Don't just dump it on them all at one time. I had to break it in with dear hubby. Started out with all purpose. Then I would add just a little bit of freshly milled in it. A little more freshly milled. A little more, till eventually I got to all grain, all freshly milled flour. Now, sometimes we bounce back and forth. He's like, I kind of miss the biscuits when you make them like this. Okay, I can do that. Every once in a while, I can splurge and go back and let him have a little treat. But he knows I'm still trying to keep him healthy. Now, when you're making breads or baking or anything like that, just know freshly milled flour is going to bake up differently. Freshly milled flour drinks whatever liquid you put in there with it. It's going to soak it up. And it's a denser flour, okay? So when you're when you're getting ready to make some bread or something with it, you're going to have to increase your water just a little bit because it soaks it up. Okay? It soaks it up more, and it's like drinks it more than all-purpose flour. So if you're going to make anything with freshly milled flour, whole grains, add a little bit of water because you're feeding more. You're feeding the bran, the germ, the endosperm. You're feeding it all. Okay, and it will eat it up. So add just a little more water. It bakes up differently. Now, when you're getting ready to grind your grain, 1 cup of berries will not equal 1 cup of flour after it's ground up. It's going to be like 1 cup of berries is going to yield, I think, 1.25 cups. So just know, 1 cup of berries is going to, by the time it's ground up, because it's going to be powder, it's going to take up more space. But it's going to increase your volume just a little bit, okay? So just because you put 1 cup of berries into your grain mill, don't mean you're exactly going to get 1 cup of flour. It's going to be increased just a little bit. Let's see. There was another memo about, how it's going to change. All right, so let's go back to this. The absorption. Compared to processed flour, whole wheat flour absorbs water much more slowly. This means if you treat whole wheat flour dough like all-purpose dough, you're going to have major issues. Here's how you can adjust for these. You can do like now I haven't done this. I just dump everything. But you can do like, you can soak your flour and your water for about 30 minutes first to help break it down more. Then incorporate that little bit into your recipe, okay? It improves elasticity. It softens the bran. It hydrates it better. It softens the bran and the germ, and it improves the elasticity. And it makes the dough easier to knead. If you're converting an all-purpose flour recipe to a whole wheat flour recipe, add a bit more liquid than you usually would. And focus on feel. Learn how to monitor how the dough feels and its texture, relying strictly on the recipe. The dough will tell you what it needs. You can go strict, I don't care if you're cooking chicken or you're cooking any kind of meal, you can go by someone's recipe by the book, but yours is going to turn out different. Why? I don't know. Same goes with making bread and using freshly milled flour. You can go strictly by the recipe, but pay attention to the feel of the dough, the texture, what it looks like. If you're sitting there looking at a sticky, and you're like, whoa, that is really sticky, maybe I need to add just a little more flour. You can either be careful about adding too much more flour, because you can change the whole crumb of your loaf. Try kneading it more, and that's the next point. Kneading is necessary. Any breads made with freshly milled flour is going to need more kneading time and more resting time. So when you're converting a recipe from all-purpose flour over to freshly milled flour, more water, because it's going to soak up that liquid. The crumb is going to be different because it's going to bake differently. But increase your resting time and increase your kneading time. Resting, and if you've noticed back in some more videos when we have made bread, when we did even like the stretch and folds or the just mixing it and letting it rest for a few minutes, and we came back to it, you could tell even during the resting time or the stretch and folds how it was, the flour just had a mind of its own, and it was mechanically creating its own gluten, okay? You see that in the stretch and fold methods, how let it sit, come back 30 minutes later, and you pull it up and it gets stretchy. That flour did its own thing. Okay, it was developing its own gluten. But freshly milled flour is going to need that extra resting and kneading time. And probably stretch and fold time. That's part of the resting too. And so the strength of the rise is directly connected to kneading. The longer you knead, the better the rise. Okay? And then mixing that in with the soaking method, that helps. Whole wheat bread will never be exactly as the same as all-purpose flour loaf or store-bought bread, nor should it be. So I don't want you to come into this segment in this series starting, oh, okay, I'm just going to take this all-purpose flour recipe and convert it and just switch my flours, and it's going to turn out, freshly milled flour bakes differently. It looks differently, and it tastes differently. So far, I cannot get my granddaughters to eat it. I started out all-purpose, switching over, switching over, switching over. They could taste it. They could tell the difference in breads, Now, when I put it in muffins, waffles, pancakes, cookies, stuff like that, they couldn't tell the difference. I think it's probably because I used like that soft white wheat. It wasn't as coarse and the texture was a little softer. But now when you're dealing with hard white wheat strictly for breads, just know so you don't get disappointed. Your bread made with freshly milled flour compared to a loaf of store-bought flour, it's not going to be the same. I do not want y'all to get that perspective in your head. It's not going to bake the same. It's not going to look the same. The texture's not going to feel the same, and the crumb is not going to be the same. So please know this. It is going to take some getting used to, especially for picky eaters. Okay? But you can expect your loaves to be less soft, but fluffy and richer in flavor and texture. Okay? They may be a little more dense, but you're getting more flavor. Put a piece of freshly milled flour bread baked with freshly milled flour. Do a taste test against a piece of store-bought bread. You're going to taste the difference. You're going to feel the texture. You're going to taste the flavor. Plus, you're getting all the nutritional value. Okay. Okay. I was just reading the rest. I've covered all that. Now, let's see if I have missed anything. I want to review my notes and make sure. So, to break it, there's another thing. I told y'all how to store this is very important, and where to buy your grains. Okay, storing your grains. I store my grains. I am very fortunate enough to have a Mennonite store just about 3 miles down the road from our house. And if they're out of them on the shelf at that time, they can order me 50-pound bags. And I buy them by the 50-pound bags because I share them with my mother. I get hard white wheat and I get soft white wheat. And I share them with my mother. I have them. We store them in food-grade buckets, plastic buckets. Now, I have got some at Lowe's that has the lids. You want to make sure you have some kind of locking lid or screw-on lid. And I will take them out of the bags and I will pour them in the 5-gallon buckets. I got me 2 and I got my mama 2. And I'll pour them in the buckets and lock that lid on. Or you can get the Gamma lids in the buckets where they screw on. But you kind of might need to have some oxidizers. They're the little things that you can buy. You know how like when you buy shoes or you buy something, it's got like them little silicone things in it. It's kind of like that. It just keeps moisture from getting into your wheat berries. You don't want moisture in your wheat berries because it will pop them open, and there goes all your nutritional value, okay? Now, with that being said, that's how I store them in a closet. Now, when I'm getting ready to get some out, I will also take some out of the buckets. They're in a different place in the house, but I have like some smaller containers, locking lids, that I put some berries in and put in my pantry where all my flowers are. So it's within hand's reach. When I run out of what's in that small container, I'll go to my buckets and dip from there. Okay? You don't have to. You can dip straight from your bucket, and I have. But I like to have it when I'm getting ready to bake. Baking day, I want to get my pantry and get all my stuff out. Now, it's been said not to grind a bunch of grain at one time, because once you crack that grain, and air hits it, it's oxidizing. Okay? But I follow another lady who does grains. She's all about grains, storing grains. You can go ahead and mill a bunch of flour, grind a bunch of flour, and store it. It needs to be stored in an airtight container, lock and lid or screw on container, and you can put it in the freezer, and it will last in the freezer for up to 3 months. After that, it's losing its nutritional value. When you store something in the freezer, it kind of retards it and stops whatever processing it's doing. Okay? So you can put it in the freezer. When I'm having a big batch cooking, yes, I grind a bunch of flour. I don't really know how much I'm going to need. If I have some left over, or if I know I got a big batching day coming up, or if I just want to have it on the ready, because I'm always baking something. I'm always pulling my flour out. I will grind a whole bunch and put it in the freezer. Don't keep it in the refrigerator. Keep it at a colder temperature, which is going to be the freezer. Let's see, what else? Where to get your grains from. That was something else. There is places where you can get your grains from. In my Amazon store, I have some grains that comes from Palouse or Palouse brand. You can order them on Amazon, or you can go straight to the company. The company actually reached out to me one time and wanted to send me some, but I wasn't at home. We were on a work trip. I could have got into an affiliate program with them and got my own grains from them and have them sent to the house. But since I have a Mennonite store, I wasn't too worried about it that I missed it. They just went down to the next person on the list to reach out to. But I'm like, dang, that would have been a good program to get into if I didn't already have access to getting my own grains. So that's why it didn't bother me so bad. But if I didn't have a place to get my own grains, I would have been upset that I missed that opportunity. But you can also get them on Amazon, and I have some in my Amazon store. On my kitchen essentials list. I always link my Amazon store in the description box below the videos. You can just go down to the description box, click on that. It'll take you straight to my Amazon store. When you get there, look, scroll down till you see my kitchen essentials list. Then scroll and you'll start seeing bags of wheat berries, and it's called Palouse brand. Okay? Let's see. As Your Standard. I'm really wanting to research As Your Standard and how they work. But the thing with As Your Standard, they don't ship directly to your house. It's kind of like a co-op thing. And you have to find out if there is a drop station in your state, in your county, in your city, in your area. Okay? And I believe someone locally in the county right next to us is a drop person. Okay? And anything you order will go straight to this person, and they take bulk orders, and then they just have a place that they pick out somewhere. They alert you and let you know, hey, this certain day I'm going to be here at this certain time. I have your order ready for you. Okay? A distributor for the company. But it's called like a drop station. I'm really thinking about researching As Your Standard, because they have like, you can shop through them. You can buy groceries through them. Okay? Especially in bulk, like a big old Sam's store. Okay? Without, you only got to go to one, you only got to go to your local distributor to pick it up instead of going to Sam's and doing all that walking around and shopping. Okay? uh, Breadmaker Breadmaker or Co-op. Breadmaker.com. I think it's the Becker family. Sue Becker. She has the cookbook that I'm going to be using in making a lot of this freshly milled. Let's see. Amazon, like I said. An Amish or a Mennonite food store. Pleasant Hill Grain. Central Milling. 4 Generations Organic. Palouse Brand. Ancient Grains. Bulk food stores. I couldn't read my writing, y'all. Arthritis, I get to writing after a while. It starts out good and you can read it. Then all of a sudden my hand starts giving out and I can't even, it's like chicken scratch now. Bulk food stores. I will list all these in the description box below this video that will give you a choice of you to research and find out if you don't have a local source, a Mennonite or an Amish store where you can get your wheat berries from, that you can order them, and some of these places do ship to your house. You can either get them in bags or you can pay the extra price and they'll ship them in buckets. Hence, there's your storing your grain already. You'll have your bucket. Let's see. I've talked about storing the grain. Just know that if you're going to mill a bunch of grain at one time, put that flour in the freezer. Put it in the freezer. But if you're going to store your grains, put them in locking lid buckets or containers or something. And try to get you some of those little oxidation little things. I believe I put some too in my Amazon store. I also have a gamma lid bucket in there. Yes. The little oxidation things. Yes, they're all in my Amazon store, my kitchen essentials list. Let's see. Now let's talk about my most favorite part, besides the grains, your grain meal. Y'all, I checked into a bunch. Did y'all know that I researched grain meals and all the grains about 15 years ago? Might be less than 15. Anywhere between 10 and 15. My boys were younger. And I was researching grain mills and grains then. I actually wanted to plant some wheat and learn how to harvest it and thresh it and have our own grains. Yes, when my boys were little. About 10 to 15 years ago. I guess it just wasn't meant to be 10, 15 years ago. I guess it just wasn't meant for me to do it. I didn't pursue it. But now, health reasons, me, rheumatoid arthritis, I need all the extra boost I can get for the inflammation. My mama, leaky gut syndrome, that was another reason. And for my dear hubby, diabetic, leaky gut syndrome, inflammation, autoimmune disease. I'm like, you know what? I've already done the research one time. Let me find all my stuff. I did all this 10 to 15 years ago. I never threw my stuff away, y'all. I kept it in a little folder. I dug that folder out and I said, we're going to research this. We're going to do this again. We're going to refresh my memory because now it's become a health thing and kind of like a need to thing. And then I refreshed my memory and I was like, hey, all I need is the grains and the grain meal. So I started out, I bought my mama, well, I have, let's get into your things that you're going to need to grind your grains. Dear hubby bought me a grain meal attachment to go on my KitchenAid mixer. Okay, and I use that sucker, use that sucker. And then I bought my mama a Nutri-Meal grain meal, okay? And I kind of like yeah, I kind of like use both. If I go to her house and we're grinding some grain or something, I taught my mama how to use hers because it was kind of urgent. She got really bad sick on me with leaky gut syndrome, and I'm like, okay, now we're going to do it. Now we're going to get into this. So I'm like, okay, we're going to get her a grain mill. I'm going to start getting the grains. I actually started with her, and I mean, I was doing it too. I had the KitchenAid attachment. I started her out with the Nutrimil grain mixer, Nutrimil grain mill, because she don't have a stand mixer. So dear hubby got me the attachment to go on my KitchenAid, and then we got her a Nutrimil grain mill. So I like both of them. I like both of them. If I've got my stand mixer out anyway, and I'm fixing to make I'm fixing to batch bake and cook and all such as that, I just put my little grain mill attachment on there, put them wheat berries in there, put a bowl of them underneath, and then there's my grains. But with her, she doesn't even have a stand mixer at all. So I bought her a Nutrimil grain mill. Now, I've got the grain mill, KitchenAid. KitchenAid does not have an affiliate program. They just don't. I wish they did, because I have an investment in KitchenAid, let me tell y'all. And I told them that. They still don't have an affiliate program. But I did find my mixer, all of my KitchenAid attachments, my grain mill, everything. And I have them in my Amazon store too, on my kitchen essentials list. And then my Nutrimil, I am an affiliate with Nutrimil. I became an affiliate when I got my mama her Nutrimil, and I became an affiliate. So I actually have a link for that under Nutrimil in my description box below. So my KitchenAid grain mill grinder is in my Amazon store, but my mama's Nutrimil grain mill, say that fast, is actually under Nutrimil. And I do have a code that you can use to get a discount if you want to go that route with the Nutrimil. There's also a mock meal. There's also tabletop grinding mills. There's that you hand crank. There is another grain mill that's electric, but you can only grind like a cup at a time. As much as I cook and bake, I needed the Golly Whopper, okay? I needed to be able to grind a bunch at a time. And my KitchenAid attachment, I can see it, okay? I think I'm going to need a little more than that. And I can just keep adding the berries. My mama's is designed where you can put so many cups of wheat berries in it, and it grinds so many cups of grain, and it'll tell you in the owner's manual. And it holds in the bottom of her grain mill. So let's see, where else can you there's a Nutrimil, mock meal, grain mill attachment for KitchenAid. Some grains are oily. Now, I need to tell you this about grains. Some meals are oily, so you don't want oily seeds gumming up your stone grain mills. Some grain mills are aluminum, like my KitchenAid. Some have these stone grinders that grinds the seeds. So be careful with oily seeds. Don't put like nuts and seeds in it that are oily in it, okay? Or you'll gum up your stone grindings in there. Make sure your grain mill is designed for the grains that you're going to be using. Do your research. Always follow the owner's manual instructions, because y'all, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, grain mills are investments. Grain mills are investments. Yes. And another reason why I researched the Nutrimil. Now, I got her the Nutrimil Classic. It's the white one. And it was, when you go to their website, it will say Nutrimeal Classic. Now they have some more, but the Classic is on the lower spectrum of the dollars. And then they've got the Harvest and the wooden ones that spits out the grains in a bowl, just kind of like my grain mill attachment, to where you can get a visual and you can only grind a little at a time. But they're more on the expensive side. But the good thing about Nutrimeal is they have payment plans. I got my mama's Nutrimeal on a payment plan. I even got to apply my discount that you get to my order. We get to use our own discount. Oh, let's see what else about Nutrimeal. And all of these are on the payment plan. And I think, let's see. I think it was like $23 a month was all I was paying. Y'all, it was worth it to see my mama's happy little face, to know that I was fixing to help her and my husband and me health-wise. Y'all, it was worth it. But you can go for the other ones. Just know grain meals are an investment. But if you use my code that is in the description box below, I'll just go ahead and tell you, Nutrimeal.com, use code 4DFarms20 and you'll get a discount on your order. And you can also set it up on a payment plan. I don't know of any other companies that has a payment plan. Okay, you can order a Nutrimeal off of Amazon. I don't know if they have a payment plan. Okay, before I came an affiliate, I put the Nutrimeal in my Amazon store. I believe I did. But I don't know if they have a payment plan. I'm not sure. You can check it out. If they don't, then you can go straight to Nutrimeal. Okay, so you've got a choice. I don't know about Mock Meal. I don't know about the others. I just use the Nutrimeal. My mama loves it. See the little look on her face. I use, eventually maybe I may get one. I don't know. But right now I'm using my KitchenAid attachment, and I got her the Nutrimeal. I'm making do, and then if I see, you know what, I think I might want one of these, I'll just get me one, okay? Or I may, like my husband asked me, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday? I may get it for a Christmas present or a birthday present or a Mother's Day present. But I save special gifts like that for special occasions, especially investments. That's how I got a lot of my KitchenAid attachments, was Christmas. Yes. I think I only don't have 2 attachments, but I'm fixing to get one more. I want the ice cream attachment. We had like a little ice cream maker, but I gave it to my mama, and I'm like, I can get an attachment to go on my KitchenAid mixer. There you go. So yes, I'm invested in KitchenAid, okay? But Nutrimeal, they have a payment plan, okay? So I think I've covered all the basics. And y'all, if y'all have hung out, oh my gosh, if y'all have hung out with me for over an hour, then that lets me know y'all are really serious about learning about whole grains and grinding them down into freshly milled flour, and baking nutritious things with all this nutritional value, up to 48 vitamins and minerals in one berry, in one grain, and baking nutritious things with them for health purposes. I know y'all are interested. I know y'all are serious. So hold on. In the next videos, we're going to start making a bunch of things using all these whole grains. Thank y'all for sticking here with me and letting me run all my notes through you that I've had all these years. But y'all, I'm glad I kept them. I didn't have to rewrite all this stuff. Oh, I didn't mention one thing. Don't throw away any of your flour. It can still be usable. I knew there was like one more piece of little paper sitting there. I'm like, what is that? Don't throw away. Here are some things that you can use with leftover flour. Don't throw it away. if you have a little bit of flour that you didn't use in a recipe, or you ground too much flour, just put it in a jar or a container and put it in the fridge or the freezer, okay? And use for things like making a roux. You can put it in meatloafs instead of adding crackers. See, I started doing that in our meatloaf because dear hubby can't do crackers anymore. So, let's see, batter for frying. You can, you know how like you dredge something in an egg and then milk, or opposite, milk and egg, and then you dredge it in a flour? Y'all, use it to dredge and make that coating for frying. I fry okra, pork chops. See? I knew there was some more information. I was forgetting something. Just kept telling me you're not finished. Oh, let's see. A chicken. Okay, minute steaks. Country fried steaks. Cornbread. Dusting your countertops when it's time to make some bread. It's okay if you mix the flours. Okay, that was good right there. That was good information. Okay, I'm done now. Just don't waste your flour. You can use it for different things. Like I said, I've used it in a roux. I've used it in substitute for crackers and meatloaves. I use it for the dredging something, frying it, hush puppies, cornbread. Just dusting my surfaces if I need to keep something from sticking. Or you can just dump it in a little container and add it to your next recipe. Just store it properly, okay? Now I think I've gone through all my notes. Y'all, I hope this segment in my bread making series does wonders for you and you enjoy it, because now we're kicking it up a notch for health purposes. We've become more health conscious about what we're putting in our bodies and for all the nutrients. So y'all just stay tuned. A whole bunch more videos are coming, and I'm going to kind of like rewind and start out with that 5-minute no-knead bread dough again. You can use this flour in the 5-minute no-knead bread dough, yeasted breads, all the other things that we're going to make some wonderful things with. And then, what else? The yeasted breads, the kneaded pizzas. Oh, y'all, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to tell you everything ahead of time. Y'all just stay tuned. All these videos coming up. We're going to repeat the process and backtrack. Bread machine. I made some bread in a bread machine. So y'all just hold tight. There is a lot coming with whole grains ground into freshly milled flour. Y'all just come join us in the rest of the advanced section in my Bread Making for Beginners series. I will see y'all in the next video in this series.